In this presentation, we'll be discussing the index finger. Small facts about the index finger. It is recognized as the first and also lead finger. The index finger is also the most dexterous and sensitive finger. Its name comes from the Latin word indico, which means to point out, which is often why it's referred to as the pointer finger. The joints and bones in the index finger. The index finger has three synovial joints and is named based on where it is located. The metacarpophalangeal joint is at the base of the knuckle and is the one saddle joint. The proximal interphalangeal joint is in between the intermediate and proximal phalanx. And lastly, the distal interphalangeal joint is in between the intermediate and distal phalanx. These two joints are the hinge joints. As implied before, the index finger consists of three phalanges. In the diagram on the right, we have the location of all the joints. And in the diagram with the left, we have the location of the joints and also the location of the phalanges. Tendons. The index finger contains two tendons to extend and two tendons to bend. The two extenders are the extensor digitorum communis and the extensor indicis proprius. The two flexors are the flexor digitorum profundus and the flexor digitorum superficialis. All four of these tendons connect to help the index finger move, and all these tendons but the EIP share the same muscle belly. As you see, the extended tendons are on top and the flexor tendons are on the bottom of the index finger. Muscles and ligaments. The muscle in the index finger is called the lumbrical. The main role for this muscle is to help extend and bend the joints at the knuckles. Each finger has two ligaments, the volar plate and collateral ligaments. The collateral ligaments prevent sideways movement of the middle and distal phalanx, and the volar plates are in the same place and prevent backwards bending of the joint. On the right, we have an image of the lumbricals, and on the left, we have the image of the volar plate and the collateral ligament. Movements. The movements of the index finger is flexion and extension from middle to distal phalanx and full movement at the knuckle. This is once again because of the two hinge joints from distal to middle phalanx and the saddle joint most proximal in the index finger, which is located at the knuckle. Injuries and treatments. Three common injuries to the index finger are mallet finger, jersey finger, and metacarpophalangeal sprain. Mallet finger occurs when the tip of an outstretched finger is struck with a blunt object, causing the distal joint to bend. This would be like getting your finger jammed with a basketball. And jersey finger is an injury that happens when a fracture occurs in one of the tendons. It is called this because this injury is most likely to occur when an athlete grabs another athlete's jersey and the force of pulling causes the tendons to fracture. With both of these injuries, it is recommended to apply ice to the affected area as a form of treatment. In the right, we have an image of a mallet finger. On the left, we have an x-ray of a jersey finger. What they may look the same, but what separates them is that the mallet finger is the damage of a flexor tendon, and a jersey finger is the damage of an extender tendon. Finally, the metacarpophalangeal sprain occurs to the ligaments closest to the metacarpophalangeal joint, and it usually affects the collateral ligament. It is caused by extreme stress to the ligament and joint. For this injury, it is necessary for physical therapy from a professional as treatment. And as you see here, this is a damage of the collateral joint which causes swelling at the knuckles. Next, we have the sports that most commonly use the index finger. Most common sports are associated with the joints in the index finger are sports like baseball, basketball, and football, and any activities which have a throwing of an object. In baseball, pitchers are taught to line their middle and index finger on the seams of the ball when they pitch. In basketball, when it comes to shooting, the index and middle finger are the most important, and in football, the index finger is key to accuracy. And finally, the medical journal that I thought was most useful was titled The Complications of Proximal Interphalangeal Joint Injuries, Prevention and Treatment. This journal was really good because it talks about the injuries and prevention of the interphalangeal joints, includes all the necessary ligaments, tendons, and bones, and explains all of them, and goes in depth on the injuries and treatments of injured joints and phalanges. And that concludes my presentation. So for the basis of my model, I actually just used a stick that I found outside my backyard. I actually decided to use wood as the bones for my model just because I thought it would be the most realistic to bone like material based on like the toughness and the toughness and just like hardness of it. And also I just thought that carving and cutting and doing all that stuff would also just be pretty fun and pretty interesting just to learn how to do all of those things. So for the materials that I used, I actually asked my neighbor John for all the materials that I would need, just because I know when it comes to handyman stuff, he has everything. So he gave me 2 boxes and a handsaw and a power drill to help me get started. So the first box he gave me was a carving set, and I used this specific knife to at least shave off all of the wood on the stick, and then this was the saw that I used to cut each part into different pieces. And in the second box, we had all the drill heads and accessories for the drill. I mainly used this drill head to carve, and I also had another drill head that I used to actually drill into the wood to put in the nails, but that was the head I used to mainly just to carve. And this was the power drill that he gave me. It was really fun to use, really good at carving and drilling into the wood, but also it's fairly dangerous as of how high velocity it spins, it could easily rip your flesh if you're not careful, and I did accidentally cut myself a few times using this. Hope you enjoyed the video. I had a fun time doing this project. It was a lot of fun learning about different ways to cut and carve wood. We'll find ways to add the tendons, ligaments, and muscles to it, and we'll find a way to attach it to demonstrate the movement of the metacarpal phalangeal joint in the final model.